Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Legacy is the story of mankind's sojourns through history. It describes one man's incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as 1,000,000 years, his blunders, his triumphs, the many worlds and places where these experiences took place. 5 episodes, a 1,000,000-year-old romance, space battles, intrigue, interdimensional scientific and spiritual principles of life, today's false religious beliefs, and other secrets exposed in detail. It's described as a must-read for every truth seeker, a novel 30 years in the making. The Legacy series is authored by Robert Maxxim, and it's his incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as 1,000,000 years. As a child, Robert witnessed several sleep-time visits to other worlds, witnessed countless alien craft. These experiences continue to date in both wake and sleep states. Robert has spent over 40 years studying science, religion, and the science of life. He lives and works in Illinois in the field of information technology, and he's back with us. Robert Maxxim, author of the critically acclaimed Legacy series on today's This Week in America. Robert, welcome to the program. It is always a pleasure to have you back with us.
Thank you for having me on board. Appreciate it.
Well, I went through all of that in the introduction. If you're watching for the first time and like, wow, this sounds like fascinating stuff, go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you can go to YouTube and iTunes, listen, watch the programs that we've done, a number of them with Robert. And you go to his website, which is rgaetan.com, and pick up some of that same information, the fascinating programs. And we're picking up, we've got some questions that have come in from listeners and viewers, and we have many. And if you have a question for Robert, just go to the website, thisweekinamerica.us, viewer question area there, just let us know, and we'll be happy to talk about it on the program. In the Legacy series, Bill Sullivan is the lead character that we've talked about before. In episode 1, we have a viewer that says, Maylen calls Bill Sullivan by another name. I think I'm pronouncing this right, Roshon, R-O-S-H-O-N. Why and who is Roshon?
Well, simple answer. I am Roshon, but another lifetime. Roshon is one of Bill Sullivan's many lifetimes. As a matter of fact, what Maylen is trying to do in the first episode is not call him by his name Bill, but by his past life name, which was Roshon. And she's doing this to try to wake him up, to get him to realize and remember some of these past lives. So throughout all the 5 episodes, this is what Maylen is helping him do. Remember who was Roshon in Mars, in Lemuria, in Atlantis, even before then, in Egypt, and many other places where they were together. So slowly he begins to realize, Maylen is doing this to make me remember. And he begins to get some visions of these past lives and begins to work with his character, Roshon. And again, the importance of remembering a past life is for medicinal reasons only. So Bill had to see these past lives in order to heal his spirit and be able to evolve forward in his spiritual evolution.
Now that brings up so many questions. You are Bill Sullivan. You are Roshon. How many names can you recall that you have been through these lifetimes?
Many that are known, others that are not registered in history. Fairly far back in history, there were dream visions where I actually was speaking the native tongue of that time. I could understand it. And some of those lifetimes, yes, there were names given, but on other societies, they used no names. They knew you by your feelings, by your spirit. So the naming convention is actually something that we use here to recognize one another, but in other worlds, it is actually not used.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on This Week in America, author of the Legacy series. His website is rgaetan, GAETAN.com. UnariusUnited.com is another excellent place to get information. You can link on to both of those by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're taking questions that we've had since the last program from viewers and listeners. Bill Sullivan envisioned Mars as a floral paradise long ago. What happened to Mars? Because it appears desolate now. What's happened to that? And was that an accurate description that it was a floral paradise from the visions he had from back then?
Yes, it was. There was an event between these two planets, both Mars and Earth. There was a war. It was initiated, of course, by Earth. Jealous of Mars, they attacked Mars, and the details will be available in episode number 4. But Earth caused Mars to be destroyed through weaponry. Many thousands of years later, there was an event which is actually recorded on my website. There was a star that went nova, and it passed very close to our solar system. The offset of the two stars coming together, the radiation actually caused Mars to finally get dried up, and Earth actually suffered a huge cataclysm. That's all also documented in episode number 4. But that's what happened to Mars. Mars was a world that actually rivaled in beauty with ours at the time.
This is Legacies, I mentioned, a 5-part series. How long has it taken you to document all of this? Because this is all you are. Again, you are Bill Sullivan. How long did it take you to go back, not only recall this, but then record all of this so you could write the series? Or is it an ongoing process?
It is actually ongoing. I should have published episode number 3 by now, but I've had to go back because many events in episode number 3 are still coming through, and I'm still going back and adding more and more details to it. Episode number 2 and episode 1, of course, they are complete, but 3, 4, and 5, I'm still adding a lot of material that is fresh.
And the series Legacy is available, of course, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Information at the website rgaetan.com. That's rgaetan.com. And at our website, thisweekinamerica.us, you can link on directly. A listener asks, what does Robert Maxxim mean to accomplish with Legacy, personally and for the planet? An interesting question. We spent a lot of time talking about this, talking about these issues, but what is it that you're hoping that people may be entertained by the story? It's thought-provoking, but what do you hope to accomplish by telling your story?
Well, writing Legacy helped me discover my past, learn the future, and then be able to share it with the world. The world can learn from these experiences and lessons gathered, as we are meant to share and are connected by these experiences in many ways. We are definitely no strangers to one another because we've met and shared before, and that's what brings us together now. So the purpose of Legacy is to review the evidence, learn how the soul functions, and apply that knowledge positively. Nothing else will ever change this world for the better. It's not the world, but us that must change. And we must then let the world be what it is.
And that would answer the second part of the question, and for the planet. If we make it a better place, we all benefit.
Yeah, we are making it a better place, but by us being a better place. You can live in any neighborhood, and if they live by certain rules that you might say are not desirable, at least you must represent the best that you can, and you can be a change agent for that neighborhood. So there's no such thing as bad. There's no such thing as good either. It's all relative development and how much you can be the best of yourself so that others, in looking at you, can also learn and change.
Is this still a learning process for you? You mentioned others learning and change. Do you still go through learning and changing, making changes in your life with new information, with new revelations?
Constantly. The answer to the universe is within. And anything you change within is further knowledge of the universe, which is infinite. Creation is infinite, and you never stop learning.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on This Week in America. We're talking about the Legacy series. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. A listener writes in Legacy, you write at length about reincarnation. We all have different understanding of it. Can you tell us what it is and or how it works? Reincarnation, an interesting topic, and we've sort of touched on it vaguely at the beginning of the program, and with your various identities over the years. Talk about reincarnation.
Well, unlike what most people believe, reincarnation is what I would call planned evolution. We don't come back as other creatures, as some believe, but we do so according to lessons that we need to learn and things that we need to mitigate in this dimension. There's no such thing as death. There's no such thing as life either. Experience is continuous evolving consciousness. It's a learning process, experienced and shared by infinite intelligent expressions all over creation, whether these are energy, mineral, animal, vegetable, or spiritual forms. Imagine that life is like a sine wave. The experience goes to a higher plane, it drops to a lower plane. We learn up there, we practice down here what we've learned. As a matter of fact, the soul has an infinite number of consciousness between the lower and the upper echelons of the soul, each learning and evolving simultaneously, though we don't feel it. Now, many premonitions are, in fact, these conscious planes that come through and, shall we say, talk to you. And some individuals call this a form of channeling. But you must know the spirit in each case, because your past and your negative influences that are around you can also do the same thing. We are born to teach and evolve the physical lower self that we're experiencing today, so that someday we can leave this world behind. Between lives, we prepare for another life and evolve our other consciousness as well. So that's what reincarnation is. It's not that, okay, I am alive now and I am some ghost in another dimension later. No. Consciousness never stops, never sleeps, never dies. It only transitions level. And in many of the experiences that I've had, I have felt that transition. I have felt those different planes of consciousness. As I have risen, come back down, they are noticeable. They're whole different interdimensional planes. But that's what we consider life. So reincarnation is nothing more than going down an elevator to the bottom, and that's where we're at, and practicing what we learn in these higher dimensions in between these physical interactions. And one of these days, you will not have to come back down here again.
It's interesting. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program, he's the author of the Legacy series. The book's available Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And Robert's website, which is rgaetan, GAETAN.com. More information on what we're talking about at unariusunited.com. A follow-up question to that from another listener: what lessons have reincarnations taught you over time? I'll ask that, and then I've got a couple of questions too. How you've evolved and your relationship to the past lives. But first of all, what have you learned from reincarnation over the years?
I think I can answer all of that. The Legacy book series takes the reader through the process of discovering what is the soul. And who am I? What is life's environment and purpose? What is energy? Where it comes from? What is God? And also come to realize what the false sense of self-preservation is. So these are the things that the knowledge of reincarnation has taught me. But moreover, to realize that there is absolutely no worthy accomplishment to save or savor here in this life. All is to be given up because the only worthy thing we can do is to learn to attune our consciousness to more divine thoughts and expressions, the future, the higher realms, not to hold on to this world. Fear, anger, self, all are mental energies from this dimension. If you heed to them, you're stuck here. Life is a terminal condition, and there's no cure to it. We're here today, we're gone tomorrow. So the question is, why do we hoard? Why do we possess? Why do we dominate? It makes no sense, does it? I mean, the real aspect, the reincarnation is you must obtain wisdom, calm, selflessness. That's what will evolve your lower self upward. What happens here in this world must stay here. You can't take it with you. So everyone needs to learn how to evolve the lower self, not strengthen it.
Now, how has that worked for you? How much of Roshan is in Robert Maxxim? How much of Bill Sullivan is in Robert Maxxim? Are you sort of a composite of everybody you've been before?
Yes, I am. Now, whatever you experienced in the past will never be destroyed. It will only be objectified and polarized, turned into a lesson. So I may have been the most evil person in creation, but in the end, that serves as a lesson. It becomes part of my own psychic anatomy, and it resides there as the person that I am. I am, as well as everyone else, an infinite being within infinity itself. And it's an infinity that is constantly growing at its many planes of expression. It's a macrocosm, it's a microcosm. There is no end to it. And that is all of what infinite intelligence is all about. So, am I Bill Solomon? Am I Roshan? I am many more. But many of these individuals have now learned lessons. They have progressed beyond what they are. And the person I used to be in those times is actually a different being now.
So that what you're saying then is Robert Maxxim is actually a better version of Bill Sullivan.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, okay, or attempting to be a better version, but you take each of these and you sort of build on them with the wisdom that you've been able to accumulate, and what we see is the result in Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program. Time for one more question, and this is from a viewer. The writing of legacy, does it help you progress forward in future lives? And you, I would say, I think they're probably meaning you as Robert, and us who are people trying to understand how we fit in as well. How does that help us progress?
Oh, absolutely. The reading of it also, not just the writing. It's a book for all ages, and the proof of what is in the book is in the book, and also on my website. Legacy is a gateway to my future, and it can be a gateway for others as well. The works of Dr. Ernest L. Norman, whose words helped to inspire this book, provides even deeper study into the subject. But I feel, had I not taken on the writing of legacy, I would be a different person today. I would not have the knowledge that I have today, because the doing of the writing and being receptive to objectify, work with the material I was seeing, and solidifying it, and then sharing it. By all means, the sharing part, it had to be correct. it had to be as selfless as possible. It had to be not just for me, but for others. It had to be a gateway to other more futuristic studies. So it's a change agent for myself and a way to progress for many.
And you're reaching out and touching many people by these appearances on the program. Our guest, unfortunately, out of time. It always goes by so quickly. That's why we will continue to do more. So if you have any questions, just let us know by going to the website or going to Robert's website. The guest is Robert Maxxim. That's Maxxim. We're talking about the Legacy series that's available, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual places. Also available at Robert's website, which is rgaetan, G-A-E, it's rgaetan.com. Information on some of the topics we discussed today at unariusunited.com. And by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, we'll be able to provide the links and get you to Robert's website. Robert, enlightening, informative, educational, as always. Thank you for being with us on the program.
My pleasure. Let's do it again.
We definitely will do that. So stay tuned. This Week in America, Robert will be with us on the program. And if you have any questions, go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Just click on for viewer comments, and we'll be happy to get that question directly to Robert the next time he's on the program. You're listening to This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. More after these messages.